So features, you can use raw pixels. And of course, if you're not training a model or you're not learning your models, then we saw that using raw pixels doesn't make any sense. It won't give you like a good learning. All right. But if you're learning features, then ideally using raw features is actually very, very useful. You can use histograms. You can use templates. I think we saw that in lecture 1, where we're trying to match like templates with your sample image. Or you can use different set of local features, which I described like a couple of slides back. And these could be like SIP descriptors. These are different variations. Or you can try to learn these features using raw pixel values. All right. So we will cover like 2 aspects of this. The first one is using local features. So we'll study like how to extract these local features. And the second aspect is how we are going to learn these features. That's like the neural network part of it. Right. So as I said, you need labels to train your model. Now, again, to better understand what these labels mean, let's go a little deeper on that, because labels can vary like depending upon what task you are trying to solve. Okay, let's take this example. For example, this is an image of motorbike. If the task is image classification, right, where you just have to look at this image and say that which object is present. So for that case, when you train your model will make this prediction, right, whether motorcycle is present or not. So to estimate how good that prediction is, you need a ground truth or a label. So for image classification, all you need is a very simple signal or a label which says that whether motorcycle is present in this image or not. So that's called, you can say like image label, all right, or you can just say image label or class label. Okay, so if your model is saying motorcycle is present and the ground truth also says motorcycle is present, your happy model is happy, it's doing pretty good. But if the network says this is not a motorcycle, but the ground truth says there was a motorcycle, then you say, okay, we are in trouble. The network is not doing good. So do something about it. All right. But what we are going to do, so again, don't worry about it. All that is coming later. Now, if you have to perform object detection, which like one variation is you will have to draw this kind of bounding box. All right. So in that case, as a ground truth, you will need this kind of bounding box on the image, because your model is going to make predictions and saying that, okay, this is the location where motorbike is present. Then to evaluate like whether your model is correct or not, you will need this label. Okay, so for detection, you need bounding boxes. If you want like fine boundary or pixel-wise segmentation, you might need like this kind of boundary. Or you can also do like very, very fine-grained recognition where you are trying to detect, okay, whether this is a motorcycle seat or it's a wheel or it's an engine or it's like a mudguard, something like that. Right? So it's going into more detail. Now you can see that as we are moving away from classification to like a more fine-grained detection task, the annotation effort is increasing. All right. Now let's try to understand like what kind of variations we can have in annotation space. On the right here, you can see this is a image segmentation task. So we need like this pixel-wise localization. So the main point is if you want your network to make this kind of prediction, then you will have to provide this kind of annotation as ground truth as well. So that's your labeling cost. Okay, so that's kind of, you can say like fully supervised method where whatever you are expecting from your network, you provide the ground truth. And as we have seen, like segmentation is like very costly as compared to your classification task. Okay, so that's one variation where whatever your network is predicting, you have the ground truth. And like MS Coco is one example of such a data set. Then we can move away from fully supervised, which is called weakly supervised, where what we do is, even if your network is actually giving you very fine-grained segmentation results, you might not have that in your ground truth. So that's called weakly supervised. So one example could be, let's say you are doing object detection, but as a ground truth, I don't give you bounding boxes. I only give you image labels. I only say that, okay, a car is present in this image, but don't tell you where exactly it is. So it's kind of weak supervision. And you have like a lot of variations. Again, ImageNet is one. And then unsupervised is you don't have anything. We just have a bunch of images and you have to learn. Okay, so these are different variations. And of course, like as you go towards right, you need more annotation. As you go towards left, you will need like less amount of annotation. And again, this kind of varies, like the definition varies from task to task. I just give an example of one task, but that is kind of, you can generalize to other tasks as well. Okay, so now we have briefly talked about features. We need features to train model. We need labels to train model. And this is the actual training part. And then the question is, what exactly is this model and how exactly we are training this? And I have the rest part of this lecture will cover what this model is. And then I have another lecture which will talk about how we train that model.